Hey guys, what's up? Hey, so listen, this is a public service announcement. Never, ever in your life buy a drone. It's an addiction. It's probably the worst addiction I've ever had. Maybe not as bad as cycling, but in some ways it's a lot worse. In some ways it's a little better. So why is drone an addiction? Why should you avoid it? I've never gotten into something maybe quite so frustrating in my life. And so, I don't know, let's go back over and we'll look at, how I got hooked on drones and the sad story of my life here. So, about roughly a year ago, around Black Friday, Walmart had a drone on sale. My dad decided to get me one. When I was a kid, I always wanted a model airplane, but it was one of those things that, we weren't going to blow money on it and waste it. I think my dad thought that was cool too, and he wanted one too, but, I don't think that's something you can just buy and play with. I think most of the time you're going to lose it. You got to have a lot of skill, and we didn't get into it. So, this drone at Walmart was $100. It was FPV. It worked through your phone. It was a Pro Mark Shadow drone, and it was total garbage. It did work. It did fly. I crashed it every time I flew. The video feed on your phone was very limited, very, very, very laggy, and be honest, I didn't know what I was doing. I broke 2 of these drones, returned them to Walmart, got my money back twice, so thanks Walmart. But I gave up. My next drone, I was hooked. I wanted another one. I did a lot of research. I ended up buying the Gholson X4 501S. And this was a GPS drone. It was a little smaller. I spent around $200 for it, and I got the advanced version, which has a little better quality antennas, and it was supposed to have longer range. So this was my first experience ordering through Banggood, which is a Chinese website that sells drones and drone stuff and all kinds of stuff. Very cheap from China. Trump would not like this, sorry. But the shipping there is agonizingly slow. Yes, the prices are low, but you're going to wait 2-3 weeks to get, maybe 4 weeks to get something. So I remember waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally my drone shows up. And this X4, this was a great drone. It flew really well. GPS worked really well. Very stable, very easy to fly, which was kind of a problem. It's so easy to fly that, you really don't learn to fly. You just float it around and look at stuff. And then the big limitation for the Gholson X4 is the camera only just shoots straight. Well, drones, they really need a camera. Oh, look at this thing. Drones, when they fly at like about a 45-degree angle, and they really need a camera that shoots straight when the drone's body itself is at a 45-degree angle. So the Gholson, if you were flying around, you were mainly just looking at the ground below you shoot by, and it was just kind of hard to orient it. And it was just really, really, really jerky in GPS mode. No stabilization on the camera, and it would just jerk, and the footage was really hard to watch and not very enjoyable. So it wasn't very long. That was in January. In late January, February, I'd had that Gholson for about a month, and I wasn't really happy with it. I didn't like the footage, and I wasn't really enjoying flying it. And I was at Walmart one day, and they happened to have on clearance sale Phantom 3. DJI Phantom 3 standard. Yeah, the Phantom 3. So I got this for $400 from Walmart, and this was truly awesome. The drone in GPS mode flew like incredibly fast and smooth to me compared to the X4. The gimbal, I'm sure, helped a lot. The video feed on your phone was really easy, clear, very easy to see, very easy to follow. I got really good range out of it. I mean, I went way farther and higher than I ever should have most of the time that I flew it. And the images it took, to me, I mean, I don't know why you would want anything better. The images were just at 1080, 24p, just looked amazing to me. I don't know, I mean, maybe you need a 4K camera, but I didn't think I needed one. I didn't think I needed better footage. Sadly, if you've been watching my videos, about 3 weeks ago, I lost it. I don't know where it is. It's out in the field. I've looked and looked and looked for it. It's gone. And you know, like for all last winter, I had this drone, and I would take it out and fly it. I'd have to put the batteries in my armpits to warm them up because it would not fly if the batteries were below a certain temperature. And, you know, I'd be out standing around in the freezing cold flying this thing, just wishing it would get warm. And when summer came, I did fly it a lot, but I kind of, you know, I started bike riding, I started doing other things, and, you know, I didn't fly it maybe as much as I wish I would have. There's all kinds of places that I wanted to take it, and I just never got around to taking it. I think I flew it about 60 times over the course of about 9 months or so. So, you know, there was times I was flying it 2, 3, 4 times a week. A lot of times I just take it off in front of my house and just whiz around town, and it was just amazing to fly that thing around town. But it's gone, and yeah, so it's been tough. It's been hard for me to get over. So now we're I guess, you know, here I am. I'm like, I can't get my drone fixed. I've been wanting a drone really bad. I bought one of those little mini drones from Amazon. It's kind of like a Tiny Whoop toy version. They come with FPV goggles, and it was this big. And I don't have any film of that because I flew it around the house for about 2 minutes, but it didn't work. One of the propellers would never spin, and every time you try to take off, it just flipped over. That was $100, but, you know, buying from Amazon, you can just send it back, no questions asked. I had no problem sending that back. So, kind of got that out of my system, and I ended up deciding to do what I originally wanted to do. So about a year ago, I was doing a lot of research on the racing quads, flying those. I really wanted to get into that. And, you know, I'm not going to race. There's nobody around here racing drones. But I wanted to fly the freestyle and just have that really exciting high speed. It feels like you're like on a land speeder in Star Wars or something, the way they just glide and spin around trees and, you know, can go anywhere so fast. So about a week and a half ago, I ordered this kit from eBay, and this was a terrible idea. Don't order this kit. It was $100, and it come with this frame, 4 motors. You got that's really about it. The frame and the 4 motors. Oh, it also come with these ESCs, the speed controls. So if you don't know much about these things, you know, good. Just don't learn anything about them. You don't want to. But anyway, each motor has to have something to power it, like to send it power. But these have to have something that computes and figures out, you know, what you're trying to do with the drone. And that's where this thing comes into play. This is a SP Racing F3 flight computer that was going to sit right here. And that's sort of the brain that powers this whole thing. It is full of sensors that figure out what direction that the drone is pointing, and, you know, and how to keep it level, and also how your stick inputs will allow the drone to fly and move around. So this thing does not work. And when I originally wired it up and turned it on, I plugged the battery in, it did work. It made all the things, it beeps and all the things it's supposed to do. Lights came on correctly. But then something happened. It quit working. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I know what happened. And it's my fault. And again, stay off drones. This is a warning. You don't want to get into this. So when I started building this thing, I needed a better soldering iron. I went to Walmart. I bought a $4 soldering iron. You can kind of check the tip out there. It's trash. It melted. The tip is totally just junk. Don't buy a $4 soldering iron. I ended up going to Home Depot and buying this pretty nice Weller soldering iron. And once I got this thing, soldering became quite a bit easier for me. and I found that I could solder these things. But one of them I had done earlier with the cheap soldering iron, and when I started going back and looking, it had broke off. And I don't know if maybe it was in there moving around and shorted out on one of the other wires and shorted out the flight computer, because I did have the signal cables all attached to the flight computer, but it could have been 50 other things I maybe did wrong. I don't know. Either way, this flight computer is broke and will not work now. It's got a damaged chip on it, I think, so it is trash. Throw it away. It's about a $12 part, $13 part, and so that's where I'm at right now with drones. It's like, all these little parts. It's not very expensive to build a drone, but it just keeps adding up, and you keep breaking parts. I think you're going to keep breaking parts. You're going to keep buying parts, and pretty soon it's going to be like you're just constantly waiting for parts to come from China or wherever you order them, and I'm a little bit nervous about it. So anyway, again, just please remember, drones, quads, it's best not to get started. Once you get started, it's like it kind of consumes your life. I've watched about 400 hours of FPV flight videos and instruction videos, and I've read constant documents. I now know the difference between S-bus and PPW and PPM on receivers. I know the different types of ESCs. I know the different types of flight computers now. My brain is getting overwhelmed with all this knowledge that's totally useless except for in the hobby of flying drones. But anyway, maybe I'll have some drone flying footage for you next week if I get this thing going. See ya.